Welcome to the Brofessional Development Podcast. Listen to the guys discuss business and personal development, covering all your favorite highlights. Enjoy the laughs as the guys try and keep it easy going, yet provide the substance you crave. And now, the Brofessional Development Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the Brofessional Development Podcast, where we're going to give you a little bit of news and notes from around the world of professional development. We'll give you our takes and opinions, along with keeping it colorful, making fun of each other a little bit. A lot of it. Today we're talking about commitment. So we're going to talk about commitment in all aspects of our lives, overcommitting, and how that can be detrimental to you. And I'm sure Dan's going to make fun of me and say I have commitment issues at some point. So.
Yeah, I definitely overcommitted to something that, I just said it's too much, and I paused.
You paused? So here's how ready. Here's how ready Dan was to defend himself.
That he just came out.
So I said he was going to make fun of me about commitment issues. And he just heard commitment, and he was like, "Yeah, you know what, guys? I overcommitted on 75 hard."
Here's the thing.
He's like pulling out his notes.
He's like, "I have."
Here's the thing. So all the listeners out there, I was taught that if I tell my mom that I'm in trouble before the principal calls, then I won't be in as much trouble. So I let everybody know from my mouth before these guys start fucking talking shit.
Make fun of yourself. That's the B Rabbit approach.
What are you talking about, though?
Is that like
Eminem?
Oh.
Eminem.
8 Mile.
8 Mile. How he would.
Yeah, I know who Eminem is.
You've never seen 8 Mile, you uncultured swine?
I have.
Uncultured swine.
Malibu's Most Wanted was more like my speed.
That is way more Dan's speed.
That movie was so bad.
If you watched it again, you would laugh your ass off, though.
Yeah.
All right.
So, today we're going to talk about commitment. And I guess before we get into that, or do we have any other topics? Oh, how did planning go for everybody last week? And I'll start off because the day after, I will tell you that I sat there for about an hour and planned every bit of my day for every day.
Like every hour?
Up until the day. Every hour. And it got so overwhelming that I quit within probably 15 minutes of actually making it.
So you didn't finish it, or you did finish it?
I finished planning.
You just never executed.
I never did anything. No,
You literally said that on the podcast last week too. Is that you sometimes you plan so good that you just are like, all right, that's good enough. I'm just going to take.
That was good enough.
That's good enough.
It was all set on my calendar.
How far in advance do you plan?
So that was just it. I normally don't do that, but I tried to just overdo it and just say I'm going to get every single thing I need to in this week, and I fucked it. Like I fucked it.
Just completely fucked it.
Yeah. So that was up until our podcast today. So it went awful for me, but
it went awful for me as well because I didn't even do anything. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do a Google sheet here and I'm gonna make sure that we can all put ourselves. I didn't even do the fucking Google sheet. And I looked at it that next day and I was like, Brad already did his plan. He's not gonna want to transfer that over there. So I'm just not gonna do anything. And then I literally even 2 days ago I was like, I could still come up with a plan.
I never got Brad's plan, so I couldn't get started. I was thinking.
Oh, you needed mine to do yours?
Well, you said that this is the outline.
No, I just made myself one.
I'm just kidding. I did plan.
Baseline.
I did plan.
Tell us about it.
But I
didn't plan very good.
I don't even know where those plans are anymore.
You left them in Vegas.
Yeah, probably.
Dan's on a spiral, dude. Dan's spiraling out of control.
Did you plan?
I did not. I did not add anything to
who's spiraling?
Man, you guys are falling off.
All of us here.
Yeah.
Save us here.
So I did plan.
Okay.
I did.
Here we go.
But I didn't plan. We said Wednesday. I didn't do my Thursday, Friday, just because I felt like whatever's going to happen, I didn't have enough time to change those plans or whatever, so it was what it was. So I started on Sunday, and so I've had Sunday through the next Saturday, so I have this week. So far it's actually been going really good for me.
Yeah.
I plan when I'm doing 75 hard every day, which Dan gave up on. I planned my golf yesterday that you two bailed on.
First off, okay, I wouldn't say gave up. Gave up.
Keep going.
I'm not going to get defensive.
So
okay?
I've been pretty good. Chill out. I mean, I think there are exceptions. Like some days where like I have literally my lunch wrote on there. I have when I'm going to meal prep, and like there's times where it didn't take an hour and a half, or maybe it took me longer. But I've stuck to it pretty well. I mean, I think you have to have a leeway on that some way. But I'm still getting everything done that's on my list. But I probably didn't go as extreme as you did, Matt, to where I left. I'd have a 2-hour window of I don't really have anything actually scheduled, to where just like a free reign of go do something that I need to get done.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We talked about it last week. I overplanned, and I think you've got to keep flexibility in it. It's one of those things where you have to own your schedule instead of your schedule owning you. And it was just too much. I didn't leave any room for anything else, like pack my day wall to wall. But overall, do you think that it?
Oh, it's definitely. I think it's just like another thing of creating a habit type deal. Like, okay, well,
you get better at.
It's just something that okay, well, I have this wrote down. I'm going to go do it. So let's just go do it.
So I got a question. So on your planning, were you planning each specific task? Because for me, whenever I did
take a poop at 7:45,
definitely not that intense.
Brush my
teeth. That's what I mean. Like instead of planning like each specific task hour by hour, maybe throughout the week, but making a plan that would work every week, even 6 months from now when you don't know what's there, but maybe it's like blocks of time for Matt and I to source candidates, or blocks of time to take a meeting, or you know what I mean? So that's
much more what mine was like.
Okay.
So it was like I said, like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna program a new part for an hour. Like whatever it was. So I was just gonna think of something and do it. So that way every week from now on out I could actually stick to the same plan. There was nothing where it's like
I think that's the best
or something like that, you know.
Yep.
So.
Nice. Well, we tried. One of us succeeded. So
you got a passing grade, I guess, right? Like a C-.
Me?
You made the plan.
You made the effort.
Yeah. Okay, I passed. I passed. Yeah, I made the plan.
So I got
you built a syllabus of sort.
Now I didn't plan in the sense of I didn't add anything to my plan, but my question was kind of the same as Dan's. Is like, where do you leave the gaps in your schedule?
You have to have gaps.
You have to,
because
otherwise
if you don't,
it'll be like Matt,
once one thing gets fucked up, if you're so back to back, like if one thing goes wrong, the rest of your day is done.
Do you leave open though?
I mean, I had
24 hours,
like almost 2 hours.
I think instead of leaving something open, it's just over calculating the amount of time that task or that block or whatever it takes, right? So if it normally takes an hour, maybe give it an hour and a half, and that way if you get done early, you have that gap to take the mental break, or you have some time to do little things that come up throughout the day.
So you are planning every step of the day, maybe just being conservative on some of those tasks so you can have room in there. So you're not planning like the...
Yeah, I mean, what if one thing runs over 15 minutes, then you got an extra...
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I'd say it's all about prioritizing. Like, what are the number one things you have to get? Like you, like majority of you or all of you besides me, it's obviously one of the top things is 75 hard.
Yeah.
So it's 75 hard, career, family shit.
75 hard, definitely a priority.
Right. Yeah. And so you're planning, you're planning that, and then leaving leeway. Like I looked at everything that I could do to move myself forward at everything, like every step of my life, and then I just went for everything. Okay, I need to get every single thing done. So, I don't know. I don't know all the answers, obviously, because I failed pretty miserably. But it's one of those things where you try.
Well, I don't think you failed miserably at all. And I know we didn't have a lot to talk about as far as influencer stuff this week, but I did finish reading Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield, and I don't have the exact quote.
Finished that in like 2 weeks.
It's 131 pages.
He said he finished it in like 2 hours.
That would take me like a month, dude.
I read it on the treadmill, walking. So he had a quote in there, something along the lines of, "You can have bad days because it's all about going from being an amateur to being a pro, and pros are allowed to have bad days. You can have a bad day. You can have 10 consecutive bad days, but you have to go and try and make it happen every single day thereafter. So if you built that plan, there were definitely parts in there that were really solid and things that you're like, all right, I really like this. Now you just have to figure out, all right, it's a living and breathing organism of sorts, so you need to be able to change it as you go.
So you take inventory.
Exactly. So for me, like as soon as we got done talking about that, I was like, this all sounds great, and then I got overwhelmed with it. And whenever I get overwhelmed with something, I just don't do it. Yeah. And to be 100% honest, if I don't feel confident in me doing it in a proper way. I just won't do it. And I left there knowing, because with doing 75 hard and getting into a routine of it now, and at that point I was on like day 30 or whatever it would have been last week, and I was just like, I'm in a pretty good fucking routine right now. I go to work every single day, get my workout knocked out in the morning, read my 10 pages in the morning. But then I found out where having a plan would have been beneficial. I didn't stop my exercises, but I stopped doing the same exercises that I was doing because I overdid it. And I ran like 3 straight workouts, which was so dumb, and I messed up my calf, and then I had to walk ever since then. And then I got out of my rhythm of getting a workout in the morning and then one in the afternoon. So I think with planning and knowing like, okay, I'm going to do this workout in the morning because this is going to wake me up and get me ready to go for my day. And then in the afternoon, I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go play volleyball, or I'm going to go hit a jumbo bucket at the range, or whatever that might be. So I think there's some good takeaways from this. We just need to figure out, okay, how can we now manipulate our preparation in a way that is best for each of us, because it's going to be different for every single one of us on what's best for us personally and professionally.
And I think planning is important for balance, right? Like, you can be killing it at work, or you could be killing it at the gym or whatever, but unless you have a nice plan in place on like how can you do both and still do a really good job at both? Because that's my thing, is like, I wake up, go to fucking work, right? And luckily I'm a night owl, and when I was doing my 2 workouts, which I will be back to soon, it was always like one right after work, and then one late at night. It could be 10:30, 11 o'clock just to get it done, And so, I think if I would have had better planning, it'd be more balanced day for me.
Yeah, you wouldn't feel so stressed out going into it, right?
Yeah, I mean, because
that's what you meant by checking the boxes. You were just doing it to just get it done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was an intensity thing for me too. So,
okay. Well, let's unless there's anything else, let's address.
Well, you got any other?
I do actually got a question. So, as far as planning goes, like how often do you take an audit at your weekly plan if you do it weekly? Like, how often do you think you would?
Well, I would think it would change almost weekly for some situations. Yeah. I mean, you're going to have your hard points. Like I had my wake up, my lunch, my dinner. Like go to bed. Like I literally had go to bed on there just because like Bobby will tell you sleep's important, and during this whole process, it's like
it's been hard with the Blues.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I've stayed up for every one of those too.
Yeah,
not doing that tonight.
How are you
feeling? I will.
By the way?
How am I feeling?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm like top of the world right now. I'm feeling great.
You still doing the morning stuff?
Yeah. Well, I actually didn't do this morning because my kid got up at like 1 o'clock in the morning. Didn't go back to bed till 5. But overall, I've been crushing it. Got into the gym finally. Started lifting some weights. I'm down 13 pounds now.
Hell yeah.
So yeah,
that's fucking
awesome. Yeah, awesome. I've been getting after it.
Yeah.
Have you found like, and maybe you too, like, so do you do a walk or a run in the morning?
Yeah, usually. Yep.
Have you found that like when you wake up in the morning, you have to do that before
I do anything?
Sense, right?
Like right now, I'm waking up. I'm really trying hard not to look at my phone because that's part of like the wake up process. Like, don't distract yourself with maybe an email that you got from a client or something that you might have forgot to do. And it goes back to Brad talking about like being like one with nature, one with yourself, like feeling connected and grounded. And I think that's a real thing. And like this morning, I got up, I rolled out on that foam roller that I use for my back and my legs and stuff, and then I went for a walk that turned into a slight run because my calf felt a little bit better this morning. Yeah, but that's 100% what I feel like I have to do, and then I make breakfast, and then I'm off for the rest of the day.
And your day probably feels so much like
I feel accomplished before my day has even started.
Yeah, same. So like I'm like in that realm right now where like I have to get up early enough to go through my routine, or else I don't feel.
You feel like you're wasting time.
Yeah, you feel behind.
Like you really should get your body moving. Yeah.
Well, you should do the hardest things or the most fear-driven things first at the beginning of your day,
so
and then the rest of your day.
Every day putting at Peevely.
Yeah, that's a nightmare actually. So.
So the
what do you think, Matt?
About? I don't know. I just lost my fucking train of thought. What are we talking about?
Where the fuck
sports.
are we?
Sports.
Penguins.
Penguins. Morning routine.
Yeah, we were talking about how effective is your morning routine.
So I am, and I think I've talked about this before, I'm a sucker for like waking up during my alarm and then sitting there on social media, like just flipping through for like sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes longer, like
Jesus.
just procrastinating.
You get that many swipes on Tinder?
No, it's Grindr.
A Grinder.
So
pro versions on both.
what I've been doing all week is at night. I'll delete the apps. I'll delete Facebook. I'll delete Instagram. I'll delete Twitter. So that when I wake up, it's not there.
Then you have something to do.
What do you mean?
To download. He's got to re-download.
Wait, so you delete it every day? What are you talking about?
Every night. So every night.
What do you mean you delete
it's clearly not effective.
from your phone?
No, just so I'm talking about just for the mornings.
So, but you said you still get on them though.
No, so I said.
You re-download them?
Let me fucking try this.
I think we're all lost
guys. Did I explain it that terrible? So I have a problem getting on early in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And checking them. So what I've been doing this week to not do that is at night I will delete them, and then I can re-download them during the day, like whenever I'm at a lunch.
So it's been effective now.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I thought you were saying
confused.
he would re-download them in the morning and then still spend 30 minutes on. That's where you had me lost.
That would be a fucking terrible story.
That's what it sounded like.
Did everybody get that vibe? I got to fucking work on those stories.
No, you're good, man. So, I think that goes to, and I actually have a really good article that I can send. We all have iPhones, and some of our listeners, or most of our listeners, probably have iPhones too, because iPhones. There's a great article in there about how to hide a lot of your apps that would usually distract you. And in that sleep book, Nick Littlehill's Sleep, read it. It's awesome.
Amazon affiliate.
I wish. I will be. He talks about whenever you wake up in the morning and like your circadian rhythm, it works in 90-minute cycles. And whenever you wake up, you need to allow yourself 90 minutes after you wake up before the first thing that you're going to do for that day, whether it's a meeting or driving to the office, whatever that might be. You need 90 minutes. And if you can take that time away from your phone, and I don't know, you guys have probably noticed this before, if you spend whether it's 30 minutes or an hour and a half on your phone in the morning just looking at it in a dark room, and then whenever you get up to go walk around your house, your eyes are just fuzzy and you have a hard time readjusting, it's because a lot of the blue light in your phone, you can change that setting on your phone, but you also shouldn't do that first thing in the morning. Wake up, get connected, get grounded, and then let the day take you from there.
It's like half your day's dopamine, Matt.
Yeah.
It's nuts, man.
You're frying your phone.
So sorry that we didn't understand you at first, but that's a really good idea to do that, because then it keeps you from getting on that shit in the morning that would usually distract you. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, even LinkedIn, and you can focus on getting your day started, getting your workouts in.
Yeah.
Does it push you back, though? Like, do you get to lunch and then you do it all? And then
like, when do you download it?
Do you re-download it every day?
No, honestly. Sometimes I'll go a couple days without it.
That's
because
awesome.
I won't feel the need to.
That is impressive. Then.
And but it's been a week that I've been doing this, so
That's cool.
It's not very long. Sometimes, but like today,
that's a good habit.
I had got done with a lunch meeting, and I was sitting there. Got done with a lunch meeting. I was sitting there hanging out, and then I just re-downloaded them. So it's kind of whenever I feel. It's just one of those.
Got a twitch.
What day are the guys on 75 hard?
Yeah,
gotta get on there.
Do you feel like there is a withdrawal?
You just seem like you're out of it right now. Not out of it, but you're like, fuck, I thought I had a good train of thought, and these guys just fucked me.
So this is why I usually fucking prepare for these meetings, because otherwise my head's just all over the place.
Well, it makes perfect sense. I think that that should not be discounted at all, because it's something that we should do less of, is social media. It controls our lives, and one of the quotes in there is that in that book, that Turning Pro book, which is such an easy, quick read, I recommend it for anyone. It talks about
Bobby's currently on Facebook.
No, it's like, shit, I got to update my Facebook status, guys.
He's re-downloading.
No, I'm actually deleting everything. No, it talks. I'll find it, but it says like the amateur tweets and the pro does this, and it's like, shit, man. I think about sometimes where I retweet a bunch of stupid shit, because I get on Twitter every once in a while, because there's a lot of like live stuff happening on there. It's where I go to find out, like, all right, I just saw this guy got hurt, like, what's going on? I'm going to find out, like, is he going to the hospital? Does he have to go into surgery? Whatever that might be, what's going on in the news? And it just made me think, like, shoot, man, I should probably get off that stuff more.
It's just so easy.
Focus on the things that are
important. It's just so easy for me to procrastinate with it. It's just so, like, for me,
that's everybody.
I could probably I probably am the worst here about it, but it is.
Can I
easy.
Quote something that is
90%
from that book? That
I guarantee it's everybody. But go ahead.
It says in here, the sure sign of an amateur is he has a million plans and they all start tomorrow. And social media keeps us from doing stuff like that. It blinds us from reality of like, let's get the shit done that we are set out to do, whether it's with recruiting, insurance, or fabrication, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
Let's commit.
That's deep shit.
Let's commit.
Wow. Dan, with the transition.
Yeah, I just sit here, wait for my time.
Dan,
should we address?
Is there a round of applause?
Let's address the elephant in the room.
Thing on the soundboard?
Dan,
which one? Yeah, let's address the elephant in the room.
Dan, why don't you?
One thing I hate is when somebody tells you they're going to be somewhere, like they're going to meet you somewhere.
He just rolled out especially.
The other way. Whatever. Colin controls.
I'm the only one that hasn't let anyone down this past week.
No, Brad. You and Brad are in the driver's seat right now. For sure.
We've done our job.
Colin controls the noise, so he can throw shit my way, but I can't throw shit his way.
Hold on. We tend to do this. We tend to do this sometimes. We start talking about something without directly hitting on it, and nobody probably fucking knows what we're actually talking about.
Well, that's Dan's fault.
So let's talk about
I did the segue,
things.
and then he brought up fucking... Boom.
So let's talk about 75 Hard.
So, Dan, talk to us about what happened with 75 Hard.
So...
He failed.
I'm out. But I'll be back in as soon as my foot's better.
Tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, Bobby. He's saying tomorrow he's going to do it.
Tomorrow?
No, my foot fucking hurts. And part of that is from playing golf.
You can do workouts without your feet.
Shake weights.
45
minutes of shake weights.
You're dual a pro shake at that weights. Already.
You don't even need a shake weight for that.
You're putting it off.
You told
he's putting off even talking about this right now.
I'm on pain meds right now.
You could still get a workout in.
I probably.
Have you seen the fat chicks that are doing it on Instagram? You could do it.
So, okay, let's go back to the story.
P90X.
So,
Vegas.
I thought I'd be able to get through going to Las Vegas on 75.
Did you actually think that, though? Or did you know going out there?
I was tossed up, and I made it to
what day
9:30, 10 p.m.
Yeah. The first night there, after you landed at 7?
I landed around 4. So,
okay.
But he didn't get there till 8. So, anyway, so Las Vegas, giving up alcohol is the easiest thing of the whole 75 Hard for me. In general, I have beer that's been sitting in my fridge for years. So if you come over and I offer you a beer, I'm laughing at you while you drink it because it's so old. But no, but seriously, like the alcohol thing. But then when you get to Las Vegas, especially with a client who pays you money and he's calling you a bitch, at some point, you're going to break a little bit. And so
a little bit.
Are you
like a whole plate of lobster
at some point you're going to break?
Yeah.
Did Brad break? Did Bobby break?
They didn't go to Vegas with a client.
Challenge accepted.
I went to the lake, though, which is kind of like Vegas, and I didn't.
I don't.
Lake Vegas.
With a client?
Cocaine, though, is
with a client?
Is not on the list. Right?
Dan,
So, anyways,
I would have caved. I would have.
Yeah.
I know for a fact. That's why I'm not doing this.
So,
it's dumb shit.
So, anyways, we went to Vegas. I started drinking. I walked, 20,000 steps because my phone died both days. But that's that. That's it. I was with a client.
He failed.
Yeah, I'm out. So
he sucks.
I'll be back in because I did enjoy getting the workouts in.
You only did it for a week, right?
10 days. What, 10 days? Was it 10 days? Friday, Wednesday to next Friday.
I think doing it as a group has helped me out a lot.
I think it pushes you. Yeah. And I think it's even pushing Matt, even though he's not doing it. Like, you're still working out. And
100%. As soon as we started this, I'm not doing the full 75 hard, but as far as the diet,
you're dieting,
the diet, the weights, you're
just drinking.
Yep, just the seltzer curls.
White Claw Summer, 2020.
So, but Vegas was interesting, man. Everybody had masks on the whole time, which I fucking hate. But
really?
Yeah, 114 degrees. You have to wear a mask at the pool.
But it's a dry heat, I've heard.
Yeah, that's what they say until you're getting fucking hit with it. You're like, let's walk through the casinos. So
was that Stipe Cormier
it was cool.
fight big?
What?
Was that Stipe Cormier fight? Was that a big deal?
Oh, I didn't even realize it was there. No. I saw one guy that looked like a badass that had UFC gear on. Maybe he was a fighter. I don't know. He was at the sports book, so lost $100 on the Blues game first night. But it did kind of suck because a lot of stuff shut down. To get a drink, you have to be sitting. You can't just walk up to a bar anymore.
So it should have been a lot easier to not have alcohol.
Yeah. It's true. It's true.
Waiting for Brad to chime in.
Whatever.
Where's he at?
I failed. I think that most people in my situation would have done the same.
But I don't know about you guys, but I was very disappointed in Dan.
You once told me you're not average. Don't compare you to
I actually was really happy because now we have one less guy in here. We have $100 officially in the pot here.
That's true.
But here's the thing: is I don't want Dan to quit. I want him to come back and do this and complete it. I don't want to root against anyone, but I want to fucking win.
You want your money, yeah, of course.
Hey, well, he's not getting ours.
I'm gonna get my money back from Bobby on the golf course though, because he waxed me. So let's talk about golf.
We should offer him double. We should offer him double or nothing.
I'm not opposed to that. Let him back in, but he has to throw in 200.
Honestly, it's perfect time for me to start it. You have nothing major coming up in the next 75 days. No Thanksgiving, I don't think.
But once we're done with our 75 hard, we can go off of it.
I'm gonna come in with a large pepperoni pizza.
But he would have to finish 75 days.
My plan originally,
he doesn't get 10 free days.
No, 65 hard.
Whatever. I'm going to do it for me. I'm not going to do it for you guys. I just like you guys pushing me to do it. So, thank you.
That's why we're being mean.
This was all part of his strategy.
So, but then yesterday, we went and played golf.
Professional golf outing.
Yeah, it was a professional development.
It was a good outing.
How did the putter work out?
No. How did you work out?
Oh, dude, I also played
Colin's
golf
like,
yesterday.
I worked out twice yesterday.
I worked out twice. I played golf yesterday, and I played terrible.
So both Matt and Colin canceled on us last minute.
We were playing golf together.
And Dan and I were talking about it when I was actually in my car on my way there.
Yeah.
I bailed. I felt really bad about it. I fucking hate people that commit to something and don't end up doing it.
Same.
Don't hate yourself.
And I was that person. But it kind of goes into the topic, which is, can you overcommit? Can you overcommit to things? Because everybody wants to...
Learning to say no. And when we were on the phone...
Learning to say no
I was cool about it. And
Dan was cool about it until, to me, on the phone, until he went and started golfing.
That's not true.
He tried throwing everyone away from the fact that he failed 75 hard. It was like Cresco fucking
it's like
failed
the
out.
news, Sometimes you got to have new news to cover up the old news.
The Bezos method. That's what we call that.
But overcommitting, I felt terrible about it because I do, especially like with friends and family. Like that's kind of like my number one thing I like to commit to, obviously besides the work stuff. But I had work to do, picked up a new client for a position, high-level position that we're recruiting for. So I went home, did a little bit of work, then got a workout in. And it turns out I've got 4 interviews set for them tomorrow, and which is an incredible feeling because we're way ahead and we're starting off on a good note. So that being said, although it sucks to bail, there's also the flip side of things, which is overcommitting, and Dan, like you said, learning when to say no, right?
Yeah, I think learning when to say no is the key, right? Because what's more important, fucking hitting a golf ball around with us, which is pretty important, but, I think you did the right thing, because anytime you're going to a situation where you might have, like, anxiety, or you know that you shouldn't be there because you have these other commitments that you need to take care of, you should always go do the ones that are making you feel like you're making progress.
Well, and let me run a flip side of that. It's not always, like, a social thing, bailing on that or saying no to that for a work thing.
Yeah.
I think your social relationships can be just as, if not more important at times. It's finding that balance, right? And it's knowing that, sometimes you got to say no to the work, or sometimes you got to say no to a workout. It just depends on what's a priority in your life at that time.
Yeah, and you can really fuck yourself with overcommitting to, especially like in business. So when I started out, I would take any work that came my way. So I was saying yes to everything, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't think that's a bad strategy when you're first starting out. You're just trying to get your feet wet and get your first couple of clients.
To get paid.
You have to find out yourself that fucks you over, or that shoots you in the foot.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, so I kept getting requests to recruit for loan officers, and loan officers are 100% commission only, and I would just say yes, and I'd say, yeah, I can take that on, knowing in the back of my mind that I really couldn't. I was just saying yes to everybody, and so all of a sudden people were unhappy because they're like, hey, Dan, you said you were going to help me with this. I was really relying on you to take care of that because you said you would. You committed to that, and I was doing a shitty job. So that's where I learned my lesson with the overcommitting, or just taking everything that comes my way from a work or business perspective. And so finally I just said, hey, listen, it wouldn't be fair for me to take on that work, and here's why, and giving them the other stuff that I have going on that's more in lines with what I do in my business and things like that. And they've always been super fucking cool that I've been transparent.
And then you ask for referrals.
No, I don't.
You should.
I really don't need to right now.
Well, not right now, but then you should have. That would be a good idea for that person.
But that's the thing is like they always still wanted to work with me after the fact versus failing because I overcommitted. If that makes sense. So.
And what I have wrote down for like overcommitment is a consequence of poor limit setting. Like saying like, I don't know what my limit is for this.
Yeah.
So then, and also like what Dan's also saying is, his commitment with work. When you give somebody that word of, hey, I can help you out with that client, they're relying on you at that point.
Yeah, so they quit worrying about it.
Yeah, they quit worrying about that worry because they've passed it down the line. They did their job. Now they're relying on you. So when you don't do that, now you make them look bad on top of that.
Exactly.
So I've been there too, where you just say yes to everything, and
like golf.
Exactly.
Where I know that I need to.
Well, Matt told us his reason why. What was yours?
I was golfing.
He was golfing. He skipped out on golf.
He skipped out on golf with us for plans that happened that morning.
Those were with a client, right?
It was my client, and it was my boss.
Oh, but you're going to give me shit over something for a client.
Oh, bro. Come on.
Man, full circle.
Right?
Placements.
Anyway,
full circle placements.
Overcommitting.
.com.
It messes with your headspace a little bit professionally.
At Gmail.
Like you just say yes to everything, and you're constantly missing the ball. In my mind, I'm thinking like that person's gonna go talk to 5 other people and say not to do business with me. How do you deal with that? Like, did you come up to that? Like, did you cross that road as well when you were?
For me, it's the more transparent and honest I've been with people, the more it's always worked out. Like, they're not fucking pissed off. They're not upset with me. They're never like, I can't believe you can't work on my stuff, because you give them the real raw version of why you can't. Like, listen, I can recruit your loan officers for you if I had time, because they know how hard that is, right? They're in that business. And so they're like, you're right. It does take a long amount of time to find a really good person in that space. And I can either spend all my time doing that and get paid very little per hour, or I can spend my time working on this other stuff I have going on.
And that's how I base my stuff at work too, is like, if I can sit here, we might have machines running, but if I'm only making X amount of dollars and that's not the number I want, to me it's more, I can make more money dedicating that time to find something that's going to make me way more.
Yeah.
Right.
So and it's probably a little bit easier for me as opposed to your guys' space, because I can sit down and look at like, the material is going to cost me this, machine time is going to cost me this. Do I want to take this on? No.
I've really started focusing on that. Like, how much time am I going to spend when I say yes? You know what I mean? Like, and I have to put that into dollars.
When you say yes, I feel like you have to be fully committed.
Yeah. Like yesterday I wasn't.
No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about I mean,
I was
you can
definitely
take it that
thinking
way.
it.
So how do you do that then?
Anything.
So for people out there that, so like obviously with Brad, he has it's very calculated.
Yeah,
where
it's
he
black
can
and white,
figure out
really.
exactly. All right, what's it going to cost them? Is it worth his time? For now, like Colin, for you, and then even for Dan, Matt, and myself, like and for anyone listening to this where it may be helpful, how do you figure out what is and what is not worth your time whenever you work basically 100% commission?
Yeah, so I start at so if somebody brings something to me and I'm kind of on the fence about it, like it could be a good opportunity, or it could.
It's like when I call them.
Or it could just give me the runaround,
You want to help a friend.
I try to figure out in the intel gathering phase, like what kind of person am I dealing with? You know what I mean? Like, is this somebody that I want to do business with year after year? Or is this somebody who's going to be a problem for me? Because I have to also think about my staff. Like, part of my commission goes to my staff too.
Sure.
It's like, what are they going to be dealing with? Are they going to be printing out certificates every week? Or, like, there's a lot there. And so if I'm only going to get paid on that account, $1,000 for the year, it's probably not worth it for me. You know what I mean? So I have to, it's got to be preset in my mind. Like, I don't really have I don't really know what.
And you don't need to have a formula that.
I don't have a formula exactly. I couldn't find that.
Because I think a lot, like you said, it's a lot of like where you like see yourself with that client. Is this someone I want to work with?
Yeah.
Because like we have that luxury to be able to fire people that we don't want to work with. If we're meeting with someone, we can fire that prospect and just say, I don't want to do business with them anymore. Where now for me, and because I want to hear what you guys think on this as well. And I mean, Brad, this is something that you can chime in as well on too, but it is more black and white for you. For me, I try and think of, all right, how much how much is my time worth? Is it worth $100 an hour? Is it worth $50 an hour? Is it $200? Exactly. Is it $500? You want to, and I think you guys talked about that a couple of weeks ago, maybe outside of the podcast, figuring out how much is your time worth. So if you're thinking about even if you're thinking about mowing your lawn, detailing your car, is that worth your time, or is your time better spent trying to get more clients?
That's right up Dan's alley.
Yeah, I mean,
am I being effective? Yeah,
that's right. I mean, that's with hiring people. That's what I learned. So I think it was a video, and I don't even know who it was, but he said, "Hey, I wanted to make $1 million a year, and I had friends who were billionaires." And the story goes, they asked him, well, that's about $500 an hour. Is what you do, can you charge $500 an hour for? And he said, yes, I can, And so they're like, okay, so just focus your time on all the $500 an hour work, and any fucking thing that's not $500 an hour, you pay somebody to do, whether it's your laundry, your grass, go into the store, whatever.
Administrative work.
As long as you're using that time towards the $500 an hour work, get rid of all the other work and pay somebody to do that. And so that's kind of how I looked at, okay, well, bringing somebody on, if my skill set is worth X amount of dollars per hour, and I can bring somebody on at X amount of dollars per hour, that's a lot less to do the admin piece or to do the sourcing piece or whatever. And so hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does, man. I just am curious what you guys think, because it can be tough for us or anyone listening out there to narrow in on that and then figure out how to take it to the next level and go from being amateur with that and being professional and making more money by subbing out that work. Is that the same thing for you, Matt?
For the most part, I mean, Dan's got a few more employees than me, but I think kind of to relate it back what you were saying, because you were talking about with clients, right?
Sure.
Like breaking it down to what your time is worth. I think in Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek, he talked about this a little bit, where he had just like a handful of clients that were awful, right? He had a good core group that he was making a lot of money off of, and then he had a couple that were just terrible, always complaining, always calling in, nothing was ever right, always trying to bargain discounts. But he was just like, in this terms, like a yes man in the business sense, right? Wouldn't say no to anybody because it was revenue, right? So I think what he did was he basically audited them. He had a conversation with the difficult ones, right? And basically said, this is exactly how things are going to go, or else we can't work together anymore. And I think half of them dropped out, half of them stayed on and didn't give him any problems. And then after the ones that dropped out, he generated new business. He just duplicated.
It sounds like the 80-20 rule with your clients
the
too.
Pareto
right?
principle.
Yeah.
So it's important to qualify your clients, and I think you and I are kind of in the same boat. I think
we talked about that it was either last week or 2 weeks ago, how we have to just make sure that if it's not set up, it's actually the way that we envision it for our clients, like maybe for the right recruiting or like the right materials for Brad or for like us, like figuring out like, all right, if we don't have these enrollment conditions where we can have one-on-one conditions with every single person and have the best chance for us, then we have to be able to tell people no. And it goes back to the power of no is so huge, whether you're talking to your employees, committing to personal things, or committing to professional things.
And something probably doesn't apply as much to Dan and Matt, but for you guys and even for me, the way I always look at it is like, you could have, say there's 100 clients to choose from, but there's one really big one. You could spend a whole lot of time chasing that one really big one, but you could seal up 100 small ones. And I'd rather have 100 small clients.
Diversify your risk.
Yeah. No, and I'm the exact same way because you don't want all your eggs in one basket. Like there's companies that get wiped out.
People are chasing Walmart. They want to work with Walmart, but then you could have, let's say.
Well, Walmart dictates the price.
Yeah, they tell you what they're going to pay you.
Yeah, so, and then,
we talk about that in our business too, man. It's like, do you want a 100-man account or 10 10-man accounts? If one of those leaves and goes to a competitor,
you're gone.
I mean, you're good if you have 10-man accounts, right? You're down to 90 people. So it just goes down to like, that's where we talk about like building your book of business and diversifying your I guess your client book.
And a way that I've been building my business is something my dad told me is, so we base everything off of, we might go to a big company and we ask for a little bit of crumbs. We don't want the whole loaf of bread. That those crumbs after a year turn into a slice of bread. Yeah. 5 years down the line, we got the whole loaf. 10 years down the line, we got a whole fucking bakery. So that's like kind of how we do it. We don't like chase that big,
I love that.
One account. Go for the little ones, and they're going to add up. So, and just like Dan knows, and Matt probably, you do a good job for somebody. That word of mouth's worth more than anything.
It really is. It's a hot lead right there.
Yeah. Boom.
Yeah. And not to mention, when you're thinking of this from a business perspective, like if you get that big fish, right, all of a sudden you can hire on a bunch more people because you've got this big fish, which is nice. But all of a sudden, 2 years later, they decide to drop you because they get bought up by a venture capital or whatever, some type of company, and they want to drop you for whatever reason. And Dan and I kind of realize this, and that's why a lot of what we target is like the small to medium-sized businesses because we can take on a lot of those, right? They're fun to work with. There's not as much red tape. And if we lose one, it's not the end of the world.
And have you noticed usually the bigger companies, they're the people that have the money are the worst at paying?
Yeah,
I mean, literally, that's how
I've been very
for me.
fortunate where, I mean, there's been like 2 times in the 5 years that I've had to like really chase down money, I guess. But another thing where, you keep chasing those smaller clients and you keep picking them up. One of them is going to end up being a huge fish, right? You're going to get lucky, and one just is paying you all this money. But my biggest fear with huge clients is sometimes. Like I have one right now that I am even wondering, like, why are they paying me so much money when they could just hire an entire team? You know what I mean? And they can bring that stuff in house. And Brad, you probably could run into that where you're starting to build all these parts or something like that, where they could just bring the machines in house and it would be cheaper than paying you. Right?
The biggest problem in our industry is finding labor, though. And I guess we could go to you guys. But that's what people
FullCirclePlacements.com.
That's what people have a problem with nowadays is there's a lot of people that went to college who got degrees, but there's not a lot of people that went and got a skilled trade.
Right.
So that's the issue in our industry.
Yeah.
What else? Anything else on commitment?
No, I think that this is all really good. I think what started off as something where it's like, all right, we don't know where this was going to go. See where it's
we literally had nothing.
See where it's going to be organically, and it went from talking about commitment to figuring out like it relating back to things that we've talked about in these last couple episodes. Just making sure that you are working for things that you are worth. Don't do anything less than what you believe that your pay grade should be.
Well, I will disagree a little bit on that at the early stages. So I'm a huge fan of like eating shit for a year or two before you get before you build up your reputation.
To live in the cloud,
where your boundaries are.
Yeah, so early going, maybe I disagree, but in the long run, 100%.
Well, so we do the same thing whenever we have new associates that come on board and they need to make some money, like we'll go work at that smaller account that might not pay their first bill, that might have employees that turn over, and they're going to have chargebacks on their statements and all that stuff, and we coach them then on like, hey, I realize that you need to take these. It's smart to take this money as earned as they pay it versus taking a lot of it in advance and hope that they pay it to avoid chargebacks. That's a lot of insurance lingo. Right. But I agree with you. I did the same thing whenever I started with Aflac. I had ran into that same exact problem, but I made money, and the thing that you had to do is you had to keep hustling really hard in order to keep that. But I think there's ways that you can be smarter about that, especially if you have a good mentor.
Yeah, well, especially when people shop on price. Let's say you're in business and people shop on price. Sure. I think that's how I started. So maybe I'm biased there, but my fees started low because I didn't have a value proposition. Who the fuck am I? I'm just calling you, and the only thing
I want clients.
Yeah, but you're talking about the eat shit first. But here's the thing: I think anybody that's starting their own business, unless a weird circumstance, you're forced to. I didn't have a fuckload of money to work with to where I could just be like, oh, I know what's gonna pay me $500 an hour. Or X $100 an hour, so I can just hire an administrative assistant or whatever it might be. Yeah, I think that's the way to go, and that's obviously how you learn. But it's also typically the only option, right?
And something interesting that you just said is like your value. Like, you were charging a real low amount when you first got started. I bet you probably noticed when you actually raised your prices, you probably got more people in because they probably looked at you like, this dude's charging me this. He's not going to find me anybody for this. And that's how I've found in situations where I'll price a part where I think it's low. I'll raise it $10 and I'll sell twice as many.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because people look at it.
I think a lot more about that now, where you see something that is considered cheap, and it's like, if you have an opportunity to get something that's of better material or of better service, I see something as more expensive. And now because I'm the same way with Aflac, our policies are a little bit more expensive than our competitors, and it's because they pay better benefits. These other things, whether it's material like with what you do, Brad, or if it's a service like with recruiting or something like that, it's because you're going to get better service at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome sauce.
And I think these guys actually came up with a great idea for Matt to start planning for next week is mentors. I think mentors would be a great topic for next week.
I think we should stop.
Who came up with that?
I think
that was actually Colin.
I think we should stop putting everything on Matt.
But
unless Matt wants.
I'm actually proud of Matt for coming.
This was probably the most out of his comfort zone as possible.
It's really tough, guys.
He's struggling. His hair's falling out.
I think
I'm growing back just so it can fall out again.
No, I think when you said that yesterday.
Yeah, mentors, advisors. Yeah, I think that's a good topic. The importance they play.
I've already written a blog post about this, so I'm rock solid for next week already.
You're just gonna read it?
Yeah, I'll just read it.
Hey. I think there's times though, Matt, where like you said, the more you plan, and then for this past week where you were trying to plan out every aspect of your day and then it just didn't happen. I mean, with this podcast too, I think that it's probably a good idea for us to have like a loose structure, but then not force it.
Yep.
So I mean, yeah, let's plan it out, but
yeah.
Whoa, have it be organic.
You fucking coming at me, bro?
Yeah, just to stop being so planny.
Settle down. Take a knee.
Chill out, Planny what they talked about on the golf course yesterday. We were planning on talking about.
We were just talking about how we missed you guys. And then we just pretended to be mad whenever we sent you the picture of us giving you the middle finger.
That was nice. Yep.
You post that on social?
No, I just sent it to them.
Colin and Matt.
I could.
Okay, on that note, we're getting out of here. Mentors next week. Thanks for listening.
Wait, do we have a challenge?
Like, subscribe. The challenge is to commit to
being prepared next week.
Next week. Yes. Challenge accepted.
All right.
Let's do it.
See you.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.